Hello everybody and welcome to this video where I want to talk about the nodal shift and the energies that are important for all of us, for the collective actually within the next 18 months and maybe even further on. And this is like, I will put a specific emphasis in this video on the energies of the Aries, the higher qualities of Aries, also of the lower qualities of Aries, but meaning how can we become who we came here to be? How do we tap really into our full potential, and like how do we come into our own, as we say, right? So I will talk about the nodal shift that is happening today, actually, July 17th in 2023. The lunar nodes are moving from the signs of Taurus and Scorpio into the signs of Aries and Libra. And this is not an astrological video, so, because I'm also not an astrologer, I'm quite interested in it, and I have been listening and learning for a few years now, but it's not something that necessarily came easily to me. It's like, I will actually give a little introduction just in case, for people who have absolutely no clue what I'm talking about, and want to have a little understanding, but it's not necessary to understand the astrology or to understand the specifics necessarily in order to understand what I will be talking about in this video. So because for me it's important to talk about the energies and what I said, like to embody our warrior energy, our leadership skills in the specific areas of our lives and our personality where these energies are present, prominent, and present. So that's kind of like what I will do. I will give a little, like in a few minutes, I guess, I will give a little overview about the astrology, just so from my understanding. Again, I'm not an astrologer, so you have so you can come with me on this trip and know what the lunar nodes are and stuff like that. If you don't want to listen to that, you can just jump ahead. You will find the timestamps in the description box, and then I will focus on those energies which are actually quite important for me personally. First of all, because I have a lot of Aries energy in my chart, and I have the sun in energy, the sun in Aries, Mars in Aries and Mercury in Aries, and so this is really hitting a spot. And also this topic somehow came into my life already last year, maybe even a bit earlier or around this time last year. It was quite interesting, and it came to me through also movies that I watched or things that I was thinking about, and then I actually also found some people who have this combination, like the Aries North Node in their chart. I will again explain to those of you who have no clue what I'm talking about. I will explain it to you in a little bit. I came to watch people or cross people more or less by mistake. So who had this combination. And I do not have this combination, but as I said, for me it's important because there's a lot of Aries energy within me. All right, so and I will also give a few examples of the people that I came across, or people who have this combination. Also, for you to maybe maybe you already know one of these people and feel drawn to them, and then you can look into them. Into their biography or something, in order to see how this energy expressed in their lives, and maybe that can be inspirational for you, because those energies will be important for all of us. So within the next round about 18 months until the end of 2024, all of us will kind of be challenged hopefully in positive ways, but also probably in like a bit more challenging ways, to become more of who we really are, and like to really start to embody who we came here to be, and like become our mission. So I will tap into that a little more further in the video. So that is kind of like what I'm doing. Still, for me, early in the morning, I need my coffee. All right, so to give you a slight overview over the astrology for those who have no clue. Again, I'm not an astrologer. There are people out there that are way better in explaining these things than me. And I will just explain it like how I understand it so far. And yeah, again, don't take it too seriously. And if you really want to tap into that, then maybe look for someone who is a professional in that area. Anyway, so like for those who have absolutely no clue, we have like the zodiac wheel. It's like a like a circle. A circle with that is like kind of like divided into 12 pieces, like a cake, and each of those 12 pieces is connected to one specific zodiac sign. So the zodiac wheel starts with Aries. This is like the first zodiac sign in the astrological wheel. The people born with the sun in this sign are born in around the time frame of like I think March 21st until April 21st, and this is also like the beginning of the astrological zodiac year. So with spring. And then we move from Aries to Taurus, and then to Gemini and to Cancer, and through all the rest of the zodiac signs until it ends with Pisces, and then starts with Aries again. And Aries is also like the quote of I am. So that's also like important because kind of like Aries speaks itself into existence by claiming that it is. And that is like also kind of like connected to our or like at least for a lot of people that are interested in spirituality, like our creation story of how all of this happened. Like, why am I even sitting here? So you have this wheel, and this is like, like for kind of like everybody, this is like how it kind of like works. And then all these zodiac signs have specific qualities. So it's like archetypes that are and archetypes with specific qualities that can have either a lower expression or a higher expression. So it's never like, oh, one zodiac sign is better than the other or something like that. It's always like qualities that can be expressed through a lower mind, or through a lower frequency, or through a higher frequency. And that always depends on choice, which is also important to understand, that it's always onto us, like in which direction we want to go. All right, so we have this wheel, and then everybody, everybody has their personal astrological wheel. I will not get into it, but every one of you has like a little birth chart called a birth chart. If you want to check that out and like are interested in that, I can recommend the websites astro-seek.com. I really like that website because it offers a lot of things, like if you really want to work with that. Easier is probably astro.com. So you can create your birth chart, and then you will be probably very confused because it's like, like you have this wheel and it's divided in different slices, so to say, and then it's connected to all the zodiac signs, but then you also have planets and points and other things that are somehow in this sitting on this wheel in these specific signs, and then are connected in through squares and trines and oppositions and to each other, and then it gets actually quite complex. So that's also like, probably one of the reasons why it's taking me so long to get into the astrology. Some people are really, really good and quite intuitive with it. It just comes naturally to them. So I recommend you seek them out. And then the north node and the south node, those are the lunar nodes. So like we have all the planets, right? We have also like the sun and the moon, and then we have all the planets. Let's see, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Mars, Venus. I think that's it. Maybe I forgot one. Let's see. So we have all of these planets like sitting in these houses. And then we also have like other things. I will not get too much into that. But we have, for example, the lunar nodes are not planets. They are points that are being calculated in some kind of way. I listened to it 1,000 times. I forgot. I don't know. I can't explain how they are being calculated. There are also like differences in the true nodes and the something else nodes. I also don't know about that. So we will just leave that. And also like just in case, like everything that you don't understand right now, it's, like, don't be too hard on yourself. Just roll with it. As I said, it's not necessarily important for this video in order for you to understand everything, like all the specifics. All right. So the lunar nodes are like, they are called, what's with my hair? They are called the south node and the north node. And you can visualize them as like a compass. They're exactly opposite of each other in the zodiac wheel. So like kind of like, in a clock, like a clock or something, and they're moving together, like exactly at the same degrees, exactly opposite of each other. And they will also go in the opposite directions of the planets. So the planets, again, it's complex. Yeah, you can't forget it like this. Like it's okay. You don't have to remember. But the planets move. Like the planets usually start from 0 degrees and then move through to 1 degree, 2 degrees, and so on through the zodiac signs, and move through Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and so on. And the lunar nodes move in the opposite direction. So they start when they come into a new sign, like they do today, into Aries and Libra. They start at 29 degrees of Aries and Libra. And then they make their way through a course of the next 18 months, roundabout. They will move through the whole sign. And then it will be at 1 degree Aries and 1 degree Libra at the end of 2024. I don't know the exact dates. And so, yeah, I said like you can visualize them kind of like a compass, because the south node shows us, so like everybody has these nodes in their chart, and so like everybody who will be born starting from today and within the time frame of the next 18 months will have the south node in Libra and the north node in Aries, but they will be still in different houses, and like it's complex, as I said. So it always depends on the combination of all the planets on the day you were born and so on. So the energies can be expressed in different kind of ways. So just because you and your brother, or that's probably not possible, but but you and your best friend are born in the same year and have the same north node and the same south node, doesn't necessarily mean that you like do exactly the same thing, or that these energies will be expressed in the exact same kind of way for you. But we will leave it at that. So let's just say that you have actually this north node and south node combination. Or let's just explain it. Let's just stick with the general explanation first. So the south node shows us where, like, what the soul already, like what we already mastered. So like what the soul is naturally good at, or like the person as whom we incarnate on this planet in this life is naturally good at, like the things that come easy to us, that we are good at, and that can be specific talents. But so like let's just leave it at that. So yeah, it can also be like things that, if you believe in past lives, that you mastered already in past lives, or that things that you were like, that came easy for you already, like when you were a child and stuff. Your natural talents. And the north node shows us it's exactly opposite, and it shows us where the soul wants to evolve to, and or where the soul wants to evolve in the areas where the soul wants to evolve, and qualities that the soul wants to develop in this lifetime. So it shows us the signs that we are like naturally drawn to move towards, but it's not something that we already mastered. It's something that we're not really good at yet. So it's always like a bit harder for us to embody and to move towards. And there are like often challenges connected to that. And for some people it's a little bit easier depending on their personal chart and the combination with the other planets. And for some people it's really, really hard. And there's always purpose with that. Okay, so don't get hung up on it. But yeah, so like for some people it can be quite challenging. And as I said, so like each person has this specific, they're like a very specific combination in their personal chart. And for a lot of astrologers, those are very specific, like very important points actually. So if you are at all interested in that, then I would encourage you to start to get into it. Maybe listen to a few videos from astrologers about the North Node and the South Node in general, but also about your personal South and North Node. And again, you can see that you can find out your combination while through printing out your birth chart, or you don't have to print it out, but look up your birth chart, and then those will be descripted, and then you can even type in, for example, if you have the North Node in Aries, you can type in North Node Aries in the 6th house or wherever you have it, and then you will find videos and content that will explain you more about what that can mean. Again, it can be a bit tricky, so I would actually recommend to get an astrologer, tell you more about it, because then you will have all the things that are prominent in your birth chart counted in. So like that can be actually very, very important. So just take what resonates. Just take what resonates. That's like no matter who is saying in whatever kind of regard, that's always important. So yeah, I think that's the most important with the astrology so far. Like if you, for example, have the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra, and I will just tell you quickly, like if you have been born in 1930, which you probably haven't, but just in case, and 1949, like January 1949 to July 1950, and now we are getting there, I guess, 1967 and 1969, like in a specific time frame. Or also like recently, like between April 7th in 1986 to December 2nd of 1987, or even in December 27th, 2004 to June 22nd to 2006, then you will have the North Node in Aries, if you have been born in that time frame. And then you will experience something that is called the nodal return. The nodal return, and that happens about like every 18 years. And then this means that the combination is exactly like it was for you, like it is in your own birth chart, and then there will be an extra push in that direction that your soul wants to go towards. And very often it's challenging. At least for me it was, for sure. So like this is like in your personal chart, but also these energies are very prominent and very important for all of us as a collective. So within the last 18 months, we had the lunar nodes in Taurus and Scorpio. And just to give you a slight example, right? Like so, like Scorpio is like more like I actually didn't really prepare anything for that, but Scorpio is like, like the sign that digs deep, also like the sign that is connected to our subconscious fears. Also like the things that are more hidden, that the things that we suppress, and like very much connected also to fears. And like, I will not get too much into that, and so like I will leave it with that. But Taurus is the sign that is very earthy, actually, like very, very, like probably the most, the most earthy zodiac sign, that there is, because it's like very connected to the body, to earth, actually, like gardening and things like that, and also like the things that we value, like or also like what kind of value do we put on things. And like, you know, like within the last 18 months there were like a lot of restrictions around food, or like, you know, like this topic about like the prices were rising like crazy and there were like changes in our currencies, in our in the value of money, like, you know, like there were like how do you say that, deflation? I'm not really sure. Anyway, so like there were like changes around these topics, and that was because or like astrologers say, it was because the North Node was in Taurus. So we experienced like a re-evaluation between those energies, and that's like always like in a way a little dance between, you know, like the things in Scorpio that also like we are maybe we are asked to let go of, to work through, also karmic things. So yeah, karmic patterns that we need to release in order to move into this other direction, to the direction of Taurus, for example, as a collective. And also like values. That's actually also very important with what I want to talk about today. What do we personally value? What really matters to us? What do we need to put an emphasis on, and what are we willing to also let go of in benefit to those things that actually really matter for us? So in the last 18 months, we kind of like went through a re-evaluation of what really matters to us, what is really important. Also, like, you know, like if the money gets less, then we need to really figure out, okay, do I really need 4 dresses or something, or will I just stick with 1 or 2 or 3 like the ones that, you know, like are most important for me? Or is it more important for me to invest in organic food, for example? So we needed to, everybody was like consciously or subconsciously moving through this process in some way. Yeah, and now we're coming out of this process, and now since of today we are moving into other energies, which are the energies of Aries and Libra. And Aries is, as I already said, like the energy of the I am. This is like who we are, the identity, the self-concept also. And again, like it can have like a higher expression, it can have a lower expression. And a lower expression would, like, for example, be like very selfish, like acting out of very selfish reasons, being very egotistical, me. And interestingly, Libra is like the opposite, right? It's like Libra is talking about us in relationships, our partnerships, equality, like being of equal value to each other. Or, and this will like be a topic for the next 18 months, are there unhealthy relationships or unhealthy patterns within relationships? Are there energies within those relationships that where like one person is like kind of like matters more than the other person and stuff like that? And we are all being pushed to move more towards our authentic self-expression, and authenticity is also like very important in this, and like also integrity and being loyal to who we really are and to what we came here to be. And to and now I think I want to talk a little bit about the examples that I actually came across kind of like naturally. So I will just it's like 3 examples that I want to tap into a little more in depth, and then mention a few others. So one example that I came across was like also like kind of like by mistake. I was watching, that was like in winter, watching a Netflix series called The Empress. And it is about Elizabeth of Austria-Hungary. It's like, of course, not completely accurate, I suppose. It's a series, like an adaptation of the story, being like from a specific perspective, obviously. But the Empress Elizabeth of Austria is quite famous in Germany because also like there were very, very, very famous movies in the 1950s. Where also like a very famous and amazing actress, Romy Schneider, was playing the lead. And I mean, I will not talk about those movies, but they were from the 1950s. But she was like, the story is quite interesting because she was like this empress, this woman, Elizabeth, was like grew up in, I think, like a kind of like a cozy family kind of system, very small and like very private, and very connected to her folks, so to say, like very connected to her family and having her place within this community. And then when she was 16, she was married to, I think also like by choice. Probably there are probably also different perspective on that topic, I don't know, but to the Emperor of Austria. And then she became the empress, and she was like, she moved to this big court, I think is it called in English. I'm from Germany, so it's just sometimes these words are not really easily coming to me. But yeah, so like she found herself in a completely different environment with a lot of restrictions towards what she was. She was very apparently very connected, or like very free. She was a free spirit, like what you would call the free spirit, like was riding on horses and like embarking on her own and all that. And kind of like Sagittarian energies also, I guess. I forgot, actually. I looked at her chart. And anyways, I was watching this series, right? And at some point I pulled up her chart and I saw that she actually has the North Node in Aries. Because what happened, she tried to fit into this new system. It was apparently very hard for her out of various reasons. And then at some point she decided, no, I want to go more into the direction of what feels authentic to me and what feels right to me, and become the person who I wanted to be here. And that's actually, like quite, it was a bit rebellious, right? So she of course, not everybody was happy about that. It was also challenging for the people she lived with, and all that. Anyways, so like that was like one example of that. If you know her, then you might already have like a good vision of her. But I thought that was quite interesting and also inspiring. So like if you want to be inspired and like connect more, also like on a subconscious conscious level, like subconscious / conscious level with these energies, then I would recommend you watch that series. I think it's available in English too. Might be a bit weird for you because you're probably not used to seeing things with like what's it called? I don't even know the German word, but like, I mean, the original is in German, so there are, what's it called? I don't know, forgot. Anyways, so it is available in English. I'm pretty sure it is, and I can actually recommend it. I really enjoyed that series. Another really good example, I think, is like an example from that is more like what's it called? Like fantastical. That's not the word that I was looking for, but it's like not a real person, not a real character, but like a fictitious. I think that's the English. That might be the English one. Fictitious character, and it is the protagonist from the Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen, and for me, she's like really like the perfect example of the warrior, the warrior energies, and that is Aries. Aries is the warrior, and in its highest expression, it's the sacred warrior, the warrior who is willing to sacrifice its ego, its own urges, or its own selfish reasons for the greater good. And that's really, really interesting because I read those books actually in like 2010. I really can recommend them. I was surprised I found them really, really good actually, as like metaphor for the society that we created and that we live in right now. Like really, really good. A lot of stuff in there for sure. Anyways, and she is like she always had these Aries qualities, these warrior qualities, but they were in the beginning also like in the movies, they are a little more selfish. So she's very focused on her flock, on the people in her family, and like her own survival and the survival of the people that she loves. Which of course can also be like, wow, that's so selfless, but actually is not really selfless because like we need connection. Connection is like one of our most prominent needs. So even though it might seem that someone is like very like much sacrificing, and it's probably both. Like I don't want to. It's not just black and white. Let's just put it like that. But it can be, like for example, if a family or like parents, like they're willing to sacrifice for their children or do everything to protect their children, and that is of course awesome stuff. And I'm not saying that it shouldn't be like that, but if you're willing to sacrifice another family's needs or another country's needs in order to fulfill your own, then it gets it's a little bit tricky. It's not really selfless, and so we always have to see these things from a higher perspective. And of course, it's it's not simple, and every story needs to be looked at separately and individually. Anyway, so in the beginning, she's more like in the lower expressions of the warrior, but then, and she doesn't even want to have this. She gets kind of pushed into this energy of being the leader for a revolution, for change that is necessary for a lot of the people in the, let's just say, country she lives in, or world, or the world she lives in. This world's divided in districts and stuff like that. Anyways, it's and she doesn't want to have that role. She doesn't want to have that position. She just wants to do what keeps her safe and the ones that she loves. But she gets pushed in this direction again and again and again. Also because there is apparently no other way. It's just what happens. And then at some point she actually takes on that role. She struggles, and that is also the hero's journey for all of us. We are struggling with the mission that we are being handed, and also to say that our mission is who we are. Our mission, our purpose on this planet is who we are. So, and this is really interesting because it takes a bit of, or a lot maybe, of contemplation and diving into this topic and thinking about it and maybe even meditating on that in order to understand what that means. I mean, yeah, I even I did a lot of contemplation and meditation on that, and I'm still am I really already embodying who I really am? Am I really embodying my mission? No, not really. I'm on it, but it's a process. It's a process, and it's like the hero's journey. There are challenges and temptations, and this will be kind of what is coming up within the next 18 months, right? We will be tempted to stay in these lower expressions, to go the question is, are we willing to take the higher path and commit to our mission and to commit to who we really are? Or are we giving into fear and staying in our comfort zones? And I'm a king at that. I'm really good at staying in comfort zones. I'm also good at stepping out of them. But I have everybody has their specific areas where it's harder for them. And I do too. So yeah, this is one of the biggest questions. But as I said, Katniss Everdeen, she at some point accepts her mission, and then she fully embodies that, and then she's acting out her mission for the greater good. And even in the end, she actually makes a decision. I don't want to spoil that. If you want to, those movies, I think it's 4 movies, so it's a lot of stuff you can tap into if you want to connect with that warrior energy and stuff. But if you didn't watch the videos, or the movies, I don't want to spoil them for you. But in the end, she even makes a decision that it's important that we don't get caught up in a lot of movies. The storylines of a lot of action movies with this classic hero and stuff are actually get kind of like getting stuck with, or the hero in the end, like, just is on his mission and of revenge, maybe even like slaughters everyone who is like standing in his way and stuff. And I mean, great stuff, probably very entertaining, but they are not really they didn't really integrate the higher consciousness of the Aries, of the Ram, of the sacred warrior. Because the sacred, if you are really in the highest expression of that, you will not run around and act out of revenge. You will do what is necessary and important for the greater good, for the highest good of all. And that is really, it's tricky. Not saying that it's easy. I also have like another example. Anyways, she Katniss Everdeen makes a decision that is where she manages to not act out of revenge, but in alignment with the highest good, or at least what she perceives in that moment would be best for the highest good of all, and not just for her personally or a specific group, or just because out of anger and personal dispute. Yeah. And that's also interesting because, like Libra, the sign of Libra is the sign of, as I said, relationships and connections and partnerships, also like diplomacy, and it's being said that it's a political sign, of course, also of justice, right? Keeping a balance within our relationships, within our systems, and all that, and now we have like this dance, like, I don't want to say it's a battle, it's like more like, let's perceive it as a dance between those energies of the I am, who am I here to embody, and what is my mission, not necessarily, it's also like, of course, what do I really want, but we have to be honest about what it actually really is that we are here for on this planet. So not what we want, oh, I want my Ferrari or whatever. I don't even want it for a Ferrari, but maybe you do. So, but like, what am I here? What is my mission? Who am I? Who am I when I'm really standing in my truth and really embodying my truth? And everybody has this Aries energy in their chart, right? So even if you have planets in areas like me, for example, then there is a specific emphasis on this area. So it's even stronger, so to say. But everybody has this energy in their chart, connected to a specific house. And you can look into that area and like what this house is representing in order to find out where you might have this urge to stand up for something, this urge to bring maybe some change, this urge of being a leader. And being a leader does not necessarily have mean to be like the one with a sword and like, let's go, I show you the way. But like way showing in some kind of way, bringing change in some kind of way, standing up for things that are really important for you, like some area that is important for you, where it's like, where you have something to say, where you feel that you have something to say, and where you have something that you want to fight for. And then, of course, explore this area. Are you maybe very aggressive in that area? Or are you leaving room for other opinions, other, and like even like, like not only other opinions, but for yourself to evolve and learn and grow in this area? And like really be like conscious about like, is this only from my perspective? Am I acting out of a very personal desire and very personal urge? Or is this what I want to bring into the world, or what I want to change, really in alignment with the highest good of all? So that's really interesting, right? And we will also, like within this cycle, we will probably be playing out like, who, like first of all, like who do I need to be in order to be who I came here to be, in order to fulfill my mission? But also, like, are there relationships that I need to leave behind or that need to change in order for me to evolve in that area, to become more me? And so there can be like, like, are there maybe unhealthy relationship patterns, unhealthy attachments? maybe even karmic dynamics between people. So there might be more people coming into your life that will challenge you in this area. I know that in my life that is exactly what's happening right now. And that's also interesting because also Pluto is in the mix. We also had a solar eclipse on 29 degrees of Aries. So like the first, then like that's exactly like the sun and the moon were like let's just say joining forces on that degree where the nodes shifted into today. So, and Pluto is squaring those nodes. And Pluto is the lord of the underworld, the god of the underworld, and like connected to the signs of Scorpio also. But here is representing our deepest fears and the things that we suppressed in our subconscious. So I actually listened to a few videos of Molly McCord, Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. I will link her down below. I really like her. I really like her stance on astrology. I listen to almost all her videos because I can highly recommend her. And she has also like a video about that topic where she's talking about Pluto being in the mix of those two energies. So this is like where we kind of like start. We need to, we have to be willing to look at our bullshit, our own deep fears. Where are we acting out of fear, in order to protect or have what's mine, like Gollum, my precious, and how can we transmute that? How can we transform that in order to evolve and to become bigger, and open and wide, so we can act in alignment with the highest good and act from a place of love and not fear. And that is, of course, it really depends on, that can mean, like, I want to give an example that's very extreme, right? So it's very extreme, but I want to, that's also like what I was being drawn to. So because for me, this energy, like two people always come into my mind when I think of this energy. Like, first of all, Jesus. I'm not religious. For me, like, this is like, I have like a little bit of a different viewpoint on Yeshua and Magdalene and Mary and all these things. I know that it can be very cringy to listen to that. For me, it definitely was like 4 years ago or something. I was like, what are they talking about? Jesus. But so like my perception on those characters changed completely. So for me, it's not cringy anymore. I'm like I just really think like awesome stuff. Really cool wisdom being transmitted through those characters. And so like Jesus, what I want to, like, apart from that, Jesus was, he was willing to sacrifice himself, his life and his ego in order for his mission, in order to serve the greater good, in order to become even this energy, this consciousness, this that lasted for over 2,000 years now, or like roundabout, I don't know, to serve humanity as a leader, actually, as leading through, leading by example. Okay, and that is also, I think, like very much connected to the energies of Aries. It's leading by example. Not leading by force, or leading by pushing, leading by control. No, leading by example. We have to embody and become what we want to bring into the world. So, yeah. So, like, yeah, for me, like Yeshua or Jesus or whatever Christ, however you want to call him, that was like kind of like, like he died in order to become that. Because like from my perspective, I think that like his death and the way he died was like kind of like part of making this consciousness so bright and so big and so prominent and lasting for us. And of course, he also like apparently struggled with that. He was not necessarily only happy with that, but like he was human, so like he was not only, oh, I'm so evolved and blah blah blah, but he also was struggling with that. And I mean, I would definitely also struggle with that if I was being asked to die. I mean, that's that's what I said. Like, it's an extreme example, and hopefully we are not all challenged to do that. But it's a good example also, because in order to understand what that can mean, to be willing to sacrifice one's own life, and not for egotistical reasons. Not, oh, I want to be famous and live forever. No. But because you want to serve. You want to serve. You want to bring into this world what you actually really want to bring into this world, what is important for you. And the other example is also like, I have no clue if Jesus was an Aries. But the other example that I also stumbled about, and that I always, I just looked up her birth chart at some point, and that was like Sophie Scholl. Sophie Scholl is like very well known in Germany because she was born in 1921. I have like a few notes here because I would not be able to remember that all. She was actually born as Sophia Magdalena Scholl, which is from an esoterical viewpoint very interesting. Also because she, together with her brother and I think a few other friends, she founded a non-violent resistance group in Nazi Germany in the 1930s called the White Rose. So all those names are from an esoterical viewpoint, really, really interesting. Anyways, she had the North Node and the South Node in the opposite direction. So her South Node was in Aries. So she already came here with being like, kind of like having this area of her chart, or like having this area of her personality very much evolved. So she already embodied this Aries energy, and I think that's very like obvious, to be like founding a non-violent resistance group in Nazi Germany. So she stood up for what she believed in. She was like handing out anti-war leaflets, and then she got arrested, and then she got executed for that by believe it or not, guillotine. So I'm always getting goosebumps when I think of her, because I think like, wow, I'm also like scared. So this is, as I said, a very extreme example, but it shows us, it's a good example because it shows us what it can mean, or what it does mean to be willing to stand in your truth, to be willing to fight for what is important for you, what you believe in, and what you came here to be. As I said, like, your mission is who you are. It's not separate. It's not, the purpose is not necessarily how we express who we are, but who we are. That's, yeah, I think that's also like, taking, maybe I said that already earlier, like it takes a little bit of contemplation in order to get into that. So like also like kind of like what you emanate, your vibration. Yeah, so for me that's really deep. I also looked just a little bit. I think Matthias De Stefano also has this North Node combination, like not the one, like again, Sophie Scholl had the reversed nodes, so she had the North Node in Libra and the South Node in Aries, but she didn't get very old, unfortunately. But Matthias De Stefano, for example, I don't know if you know him, I really like him. He has like a lot of wisdom to share for sure, and seems like a fun person too. And I think he has this North Node, South Node combination, like the North Node in Aries. Not really sure. I don't know. I don't really remember. I think maybe I saw his birthday and then checked the North Node or something like that. I honestly don't really remember how I got there, but I think he does. And then, so like that would be interesting to, to follow what he will be up to in the next years. And also I stumbled upon Peter Gabriel, the musician, Peter Gabriel, also like kind of like by accident. I was listening to a song of him, then I was like kind of getting interested and like was Googling him, and then I saw the haircut he had in like the, I don't know, 1970s or 1980s. And I was like, okay, I want to know if he has like Aquarius in his chart, because that haircut was something. And I'm very, I'm very like tolerant. If it fits the personality of the person, and I can actually find quite a lot of things beautiful or awesome or nice, even though I might not necessarily pick them for myself, but because it's not authentic to me. But in this case, I was really like, oh dear, dude, no. Anyways, he does have Aquarius energy in his chart, but he also has the North Node in Aries. And I didn't really follow his musical career, but I think there were like changes. Like he was like a member of Genesis, the band of Genesis, and then he went solo, and then he is like really investing his energy in specific topics and like things that are important to him. So that's basically more or less all I know. But maybe you know more, and then you can look into his biography a bit more and try to see, okay, where are these energies? How are these energies expressed in his unique way? I also will give you, I just looked up a few people more that I didn't really get into, but I will give you a little list so you can do your own research for maybe someone calls out to you, or you can really relate to a person or something, and then you can look into that. So here's a little list. People who also have the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra. Rosa Parks, which is quite interesting. Marilyn Manson, Carl Jung, Aldous Huxley, Michael Schumacher or Michael Schumacher in German, James Dean, Walt Whitman, Julia Roberts, Boris Becker, David Guetta, Daniel Craig, or Craig, I'm not really sure how to, sometimes I'm German, I will pronounce it Craig. Will Smith, Hugh Jackman, Lucy Liu. Sometimes, even especially with the actors, you sometimes have the feeling, okay, they are like also like kind of like playing parts or characters that have like a very like a warrior-like energy or something like that. Lena Dunham, Thomas Mann, Michael Jordan, Jamie Foxx, Judah Friedlander, the Ashley and whatever Olsen twins, Jimmy Kimmel, Princess Anne, Jennifer Aniston, Robert Pattinson, Meryl Streep, and Sigourney Weaver. There are many more, you can just Google it. But just to give you like a few, in case you're interested to look deeper into their expression. All right, let's just bring this to an end. So yeah, like that is like kind of like, like what we're being asked to do. Again, to just get a little bit to Pluto, it's like in order for us to not act from a place of fear, we need to move through it, and we need to be aware of that. So that is like the first thing we need to do is being honest towards ourselves. What is it that I really want? And I was listening to a podcast about, like, it was Thomas Hubel and someone else, I forgot, didn't know this person, and they were like talking about leadership. And so like I got my bits and pieces from like everywhere, kind of like more or less by mistake. And this person was saying that they were like, they were hosting or holding workshops and stuff. And one thing that they like to do with their participants was to ask them, what are your must-haves in life? What are the things that, like, if you envision yourself, being on your deathbed, being on your bed, being on your deathbed, and thinking back on your life, what would what are the things that you would have to have done, or who would be like the person that you have to embody, or like the thing that you have to be, or the thing that you want to be seen by from the world. Goodness gracious, those words. In order to have the feeling that you live the life that you came here to live. And those can be very different things, like for one person it might be, I don't think it will be so many things actually. There's always stuff that we want from our ego, and that's fine. But what are the things that are really, really important for you in order to say, yeah, that is who I am in this lifetime. That is who I came here to be. That is like I fulfilled my mission. That is like what was really, really important for me. That's important for my heart. So like to ask yourself this question. And then also like coming with that was like this question, you're like, do you want to be everybody's darling, or do you want to live an individual life, or the life that you came here to live? And this will be the dance. So every time you are people pleasing in order to stay connected, and staying connected is like one of the, as I said already, it's like one of the most prominent and most important needs in our lives. We always think like food and stuff, of course, those are needs, but one of the most prominent needs is connection. To stay in connection, and we are super afraid of getting cast out, getting pushed away, being rejected, being alone, and all these things. So this is like the most important sector for most of us to look at when you are asked the question, what is holding me back? So, and then also like coming with that, the question like, if I'm not really embodying who I really am, then ask yourself why. What is holding me back? What is preventing me from doing that? And that's really important to really be honest about that, because those will be the things, the fears that are holding you back, and those will be probably connected also to Pluto, or to at least the energy of Pluto. So like we are, like for most of us, for me definitely, and also like for a lot of people that I talk to, since since around about April, this is already present. Things are coming up, bubbling up, and like are like sneaking in, like, and you don't want to look at it, and like no, I suppressed that for a reason, and now it's like no, but we want to be seen. We want you to look at this, and we need to do this in order to move forward in an aligned kind of way, and to, as I said, and I will say again and again and again, to embody who we came here to be. And let me see. Yeah, it has a lot to do with, again, like being honest, and to choose what is best for you, what you really want to really choose the life that you came here to live, and to stand in integrity, to be loyal towards yourself and your own values. And it can be really, really challenging. And we had like this, like since 2020, we've been dealing with this. It can be really, really challenging to be loyal to your values and to yourself and your truth when you're faced with being excluded. Like look back at 2020, 2021. That was like, almost all that was going on. People acting out from being afraid of being excluded on many different levels, no matter what opinion you had. That was like almost always the subline. Subline? Is that real? Is that the right word? Anyways, I guess so. And so now we kind of like, through this evaluation of the North Node being in Taurus, where we're like thinking about what is truly important for me, what are my true values. Now it's time to embody those values, to take action on them, and to bring them into the world and into being, into your being. And do I want to? I'm just think I will close now. So yeah, so I want to close actually with a quote from a movie again. The movie Bohemian Rhapsody. It was just popping into my head like 2 days ago or something when I was thinking about this topic, and then I was like, I think there was a quote. So I have no clue if Freddie Mercury ever really said these things, but I think they're a great match. So the quote goes, I decide who I am. I decide who I am. I'm going to be what I was born to be. A performer that gives the people what they want, a touch of the heavens. Freddie fucking Mercury. I really love that quote, but let's focus on the first two parts, right? Like, I decide who I am. And I'm going to be what I was born to be. So, what is that for you? And that's also like, there's another very important lesson and truth hidden in that. I decide who I am. Nobody else can decide, can take that away from me and can decide for me who I am. And I'm faced with that quite often, like people telling me you are this or you need to be that, blah blah blah. That was like going on very, very early on in my life, and I'm like being challenged to realize that this is not, that I need to figure out who I am. I need to figure out who I am and who I came here to be. And it doesn't fucking matter what other people want from me. Of course, there's, as I said, it's always a dance, and it's of course important to not act out of a selfish motivation and egotistical reasons. But in the end, it's me. I am deciding. And as I said, nobody else can do that for me. And also nobody else can take that power away from me, right? And that is also really, really interesting to realize. So because, like, especially in these relationships, let's just say, like, someone is in a very unhealthy relationship pattern, maybe even being abused by another person. So of course, that person, the abuser, has the responsibility for their actions, right? And it's not okay to do that. It's not okay to treat another person disrespectfully or even abuse them. But it is also the responsibility of the one who is being abused to step out of that, if they can, of course. If it's about it, let's just assume it's a grown-up person. It's your responsibility to step out of that and to say stop, because that is also our action, to let ourselves be abused, let ourselves be being treated disrespectfully. And that can be really hard depending on the lessons we learned in life so far and what we moved through and the challenges we were faced with. So this can, everybody is on their own path with that. For some people it takes longer and it's more challenging and all that. And for some people it's a little bit easier because, I don't know, maybe they have been changed. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm sorry I got interrupted. There was someone calling me. So like that is really important to understand. We need to allow ourselves to be in our power. We need to allow ourselves to take our power back in order to be who we are. And like, let's go back to the example of Sophia Magdalena Scholl, who faced a very, very, who wasn't afraid, or probably she was afraid, I don't know, but she was willing to face death because this system was killing people. Quite like literally, and she was willing to risk that in order to stand in her truth, be who she actually really is, who she came here to be, and to fulfill her mission, so to say. And fulfilling our mission means being who we are. So yeah, I think that's what I want to close with. So again, I decide who I am. Who are you? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be in this lifetime? Who did you came here to be? What did you came here to embody? And how can you be a leader, like a rebel with a cause, a leader for your truth, a leader for inspiration for others? So, because everyone has these energies. Everyone is on some level, in some area, in some way, a leader for others. In showing a new pathway, maybe. Yes. So I'm quite excited about this and scared about this shift, this nodal shift. But I'm also like, I'm quite excited. So, all right, I will stop here. I hope that I could. That you could get something out of it, and that I maybe also was able to inspire you. And again, like, if you have questions or also want to share your experiences or your stance on that, please, if you're an astrologer and think like, but she was talking complete bollocks, this is all very, very different, then please write it in the comments and share your experiences if you want to. I'm quite curious to hear that. And this is it. I will see you in the next video or somewhere. See you soon. Bye bye.